Hello, beautiful people. I am Shauna Gulbrand, and I am very grateful that you are here. Sitting here, shuffling my tarot deck. No, I won't be doing a tarot spread for you today. Maybe by the end of this recording, I will draw a card for any of you who are listening. There are many wonderful people here on YouTube that offer tarot card spreads and oracle card spreads for all the zodiac signs. I have been following a handful of channels for the past month for my sign of Aries, and some of them I take with a grain of salt. Others are spot on, really incredible to receive what it is that they offer. So if tarot or oracle cards are a permission slip that you enjoy and you haven't already, I recommend doing some research and finding the readers that you resonate with their energy, how they read the cards, and the messages that they bring across. I will say that every morning I draw 3 cards from the Spirit Animal Oracle deck. I think this is my favorite deck. This morning, the 3rd card that I turned over was Canary Spirit. And Canary Spirit's message is sing your own song. And this is Canary Spirit. Isn't that a beautiful card? Notice all that blue in the backdrop. That blue speaks to the throat chakra, opening up and balancing the throat chakra. As soon as I saw this morning, I thought to myself, I'm going to be doing a recording. I am going to be speaking. Canary Spirit's message is to speak, express what is in the heart. And I love doing this. So this to me is a highest excitement. It speaks to, or Canary speaks to, truth and integrity. And Canary also speaks to inner light and letting the unique, or my unique signature of light shine, to sing my own song. And that's what I'm doing here. And I was just so excited to draw Canary Spirit this morning, and I wanted to share that with you. And I share it with you because, interestingly enough, synchronistically enough, Canary Spirit speaks to the idea of inner light and letting that inner light shine. And that's what I would like to talk to you about today. The idea of light and illumination. Yesterday morning, I woke up in a place, in a funk, as I like to call it. And I began to recognize where my thoughts were going and what sort of patterns I typically fall into. And instead of letting that grab hold of me, I do what I love to do, or I did what I love to do. And that is create a space where I can be still, quiet, and in the practice of introspection. I was in the practice of taking a look at what was going on in my internal landscape. Now, there were 2 questions that were at the front of my awareness when I brought myself into this place. And these are the 2 questions that I would like to share with you today. I invite you, because I'm always offering an invitation. I never tell you that you should do something or that you need to do something. I can offer a suggestion or a recommendation or an invitation, and that's what I do now, or what I'm offering you now. And that invitation is to open up your journal and write down these 2 questions at the top of a page, or on a piece of paper next to you, or on a Word document on the computer that's in front of you. The 2 questions are these. In what ways do you create light and illumination? or you can pose it to yourself in the first person. In what ways do I create light and illumination? And the second question is, in what ways do you find the light within you? In what ways do I find the light within me? So this is what I brought with me when I sat in stillness yesterday and turned my attention inward. Let me speak now to the energy of war. And this is something that I wrote about a few months ago in one of my newsletters. The energy of war can show up on a global scale. All one has to do is turn on mainstream media news to see where the darkness and the fear and the energy of war is showing up. We were all trained into the energy of war, whether you are conscious of it or not. And this energy shows up on a personal level, on a micro scale, in the way of judgment and criticism of other people and other groups, blame, but also of the self, when we are self-trashing, self-judging, self-criticizing. That is the energy of war. My internal battlefield was raging yesterday morning, and I was able to, well, I don't want to get ahead of myself because this has to do with what it is I want to share with you. But that practice of introspection gave me the opportunity to not go any further into the carnage. It instead brought me to a place of balance and harmony. So the idea of creating light and illumination, finding light within myself, finding light within yourself. I could sit here and tell you, because I was writing feverishly in my journal, that it started off in this way of, okay, well, I find light or I create light and illumination when I'm in my highest excitements, what I'm doing right now. I'm lit up. I feel light. I recognize the light within me and I'm radiating it out. I create light and I find the light within myself when I am playing with my dog May, when I am out in nature, when I am having deep and meaningful conversations with my friends, when I share laughter and smiles with the people that I love. I am creating and finding light when I am reading a self-improvement book or a book on metaphysics. I am creating and finding light and illumination when I am being creative in the way of my fluid acrylic art. You would think that that's how I would start off answering these questions, but that wasn't my approach. Those awarenesses came after all the other stuff that I wrote, and all the other stuff is what I want to share with you today. It is how light is created. My hope is that what I share with you may spark something. It may inspire you into a practice of introspection and reflection. It will help you to see where your darkness is so that you can then begin to create, hold, anchor, and emanate your own light. I have some bullet points here that I'm going to run through to share with you what came up for me in my practice. Light is created the moment you recognize you are slipping back into an old pattern, perhaps one of self-sabotage, because that's what was happening yesterday. I recognized, oh, this is what I typically do when I start to self-sabotage. But it's the moment that you can recognize that you are slipping back into an old consciousness, an old version of you, old ancient patterns that keep you anchored to the past in ways you no longer need to experience. The moment you can recognize it, you have created light and illumination. Light is created when you choose not to buy into the constellation of voices that speak to fear, negativity, lack, and limitation. Those tag teams like the inner critic and the inner perfectionist. When you hear it, recognize it, and choose not to buy into those voices, not to believe what they are saying, you create more light. Light is created when you notice the energy of war within yourself in the way of self-criticism, self-judgment, and you make the conscious decision to bring peace and stop the madness. That's what I chose to do. I could see the carnage. I could see it in my internal battlefield, seeing it in my mind's eye. And the moment I decided, and this is true for you too, the moment that you decide to put an end to that war and to bring peace, you have created more light. So instead of seeing the bloody carnage, I was able to see a field of green, wildflowers, trees, birds, blue sky, big puffy clouds. It was peace and harmony and balance creates light. Light is created every time you practice self-awareness. That probably could have been number one, because everything here is about being aware of self. The more you are aware of what you are thinking, what you are saying, how you are acting, patterns that are happening within you, every single time you practice self-awareness, you are creating light and illumination. You can more easily find the light within you because you are aware of self. You are knowing yourself more deeply and more truly. Light is created every time you look deeply within yourself and honestly admit what you are experiencing. Self-awareness 101. To be able to say, okay, and this is the number one priority of a light warrior, is to have the ability and the willingness to look at the darkness and the patterns within themselves. Light is created every time you can turn your attention inward and be honest with yourself about what it is you are experiencing. Light is created when you embrace all parts of yourself, even the scary dark shit. That's what I wrote. You are this and that. You are good and bad. You are light and dark. And it's not about disregarding or hating aspects of the self. It's about embracing all of it as who you are, but then making the conscious decisions and taking the conscious action steps on being more of the person you prefer to be, the light being that you are, your true core self. When you do that, you more easily find the light within you. Light is created every time you connect to your inner child. I've been doing inner child work now for the past few years, and I cannot express enough how healing it is to cultivate a more meaningful and loving and respectful and understanding relationship with your inner child. Your child is light, and she or he wants to shine. And the more that you connect with your inner child and you cultivate that relationship, the more light you create, the more illumination you create. Light is created every time you speak your truth to yourself and others. I know firsthand how challenging it is to actually say what you want to say to another human being. It is a powerful practice, and it can be a very difficult and challenging practice. I encourage you and invite you to start speaking the truth to yourself first, if you're not. As you're in that practice of introspection, be honest with yourself. Write things out, say it out loud, but be honest with yourself. And I can share with you from experience that the more you begin to speak your truth to other people, the easier it gets. It is being honest and direct from a place of love and compassion, not only for the other person, but for yourself as well. I was referred to as painfully honest through a period of my life. And I've learned to soften that. That's the compassion and the understanding, but also being direct and honest about my personal truths. You shine so brightly every time you speak your truth. Light is created every single time you are in your heart and you activate the frequencies of compassion, understanding, kindness, gentleness, nurturance, and love. We are compulsive thinkers. We've been trained to spend so much time in the swirling maze of thoughts in our mind. Being in your heart and activating that frequency of compassion creates an abundance of light. Light is created when you greet your feelings and you are willing to listen to what they have to say. We were taught to run away from, ignore, reject, hate, control, manage, suppress our feelings and emotions. Goes along with being compulsive thinkers. We were taught that they are not important, that we need to push them away. Your feelings and your emotions are the younger, wounded, more vulnerable parts of yourself, cowering in a corner, afraid, scared, crying out for your love, for your understanding, for your guidance, for your presence. Every strong emotion that you are so afraid to feel, you have felt before and you've lived through it. You will live through it again. Those feelings that are knocking on the door of your awareness, they are looking for your respect. They are looking for your listening ear. It's as if, okay, so let me say this. If a friend knocked on your door and they were in a really rough place and they needed you to listen, they needed you to understand and hear them, would you slam the door on them and tell them to go away? Of course you wouldn't. You would welcome them in. You would create a space for them. It's the same thing with your feelings. Becoming a skillful host to all of your feelings and emotions, especially the strong ones, creates so much light and illumination within you. So it's about opening that door a little and saying, okay, come in. I am willing to hear what you have to say. Light is created every time you give yourself permission to do what you want rather than what you tell yourself you should be doing. Stop shooting all over yourself. I understand you have obligations, you have expectations, great. What was happening with me yesterday is that because I was falling into an old consciousness, old patterns, I began that process that I would always go through of self-punishment for the day and telling myself all of these things that I need to be doing. I can't go do this because I wasn't good enough. I've been bad. I need to be punished. So that is inaccessible. This is what I need to be focusing on. The idea of do this, do this, do this, do this, until I gave myself permission to go do that other thing. And I was able to find more light within me. So stay away from the shoulds. Light is created when you know your life is unfolding the way it's supposed to and that you are exactly where you need to be. Your life is unfolding exactly the way it's supposed to, and you are exactly where you need to be. Light is created every time you choose to pay attention to your thoughts. The average person has between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts a day. of those, 95% of them are repetitive. They are repeat thoughts that you have been thinking for years, if not most of your life. 80 to 85% of them are negative. What is that saying about the life that we are each trying to create? Because we create our lives moment to moment to moment, and our thoughts become things. Mike Dooley, Tut, Notes from the Universe. Thoughts become things. Those statistics are staggering, right? Every time you consciously pay attention to what it is you're thinking, you create light and illumination. Remember what I said earlier, we are compulsive thinkers. We spend so much time in our minds. So why not have better thoughts, more positive thoughts, more loving and compassionate thoughts? If that doesn't work out for you, you can always go back to the negativity. So you have that going for you. Your greatest power is your ability to choose. Light is created every moment you find peace and harmony and love and accept yourself more deeply. Light is created every time you are right here for yourself. What all of us need more than anything else is to be here for ourselves in the ways that we need ourselves to be. I don't have a statistic here for you, but there's a tendency to run away from ourselves, to abandon ourselves. Another question that I would love to offer you that I use a lot is, in what way can I be here for myself right now? And I let that answer emerge from within me. And most of the time, it's stop beating me up. Stop beating yourself up. Be kind and gentle and loving. That's how I need you to be here for me. That's generally what comes up for me, but there have been other examples. In what way can I be here for myself? Because you need you more than anything else. You need yourself to be right here for you, supporting, encouraging, loving, nurturing. That creates so much light and illumination within you when you can be right here for yourself in any way you need. And it's as simple as asking, what is it that I truly need right now? And being honest with yourself, letting that answer emerge from within you. So this is what I wanted to share with you today. It wasn't about looking at my joys and my happiness and my passion and to understand where or how I create light and illumination, how I can find it within myself. No, this was looking at the darkness. And that has been, well, there are two themes of my personal journey as being a spiritual explorer. One of them is shining my light. I've been wearing this mantra band on my wrist for over a decade now, and it says, let your light shine. That to me is everything. It's about me being me as much as the true core self that I can be, which brings me to the second theme. And this has been my own personal experience. It is looking honestly at my darkness, at my patterns, at my control, at my rigidity, and recognizing this is a lot of my conditioning, my beliefs that are based in fear, negativity, lack, limitation. I know this is part of me, but this is not the person I prefer to be. So a way of creating more light and illumination, ways that I have found more light within myself, is to peel back the layers of who I am not, like an onion. As we peel back layer of false belief, layer of human conditioning, we expose more layers of light. We expose more light of who we really are. Your unique signature of light is found when you can be in these practices. And that's my hope, is that you will start or deepen. Let me say this. Begin, start, revisit, or deepen a personal practice of self-awareness. Okay, one jumped out, but I want to pull another one. Beautiful. Okay, the card that jumped out is the Five of Cups. Focus on what you do have. Yes, he's all sad because 3 of his cups have tipped over and the love that was in them is spilled, and I'm so sad. Great. But see those 2 cups behind him? He needs to focus on those cups. Focus on what's going right. Focus on your light. Focus on what you do have. Focus on your spiritual journey, your spiritual practices, your self-improvement, your personal development. Focus on those things. That phrase, let go of your past. Those words wanted to come out of my mouth. But it's important to me, at least, to work through past that is being recreated, that is keeping you all upset about those cups that have spilled. Focus on what you do have. The Four of Wands. This is a card of celebration. To me, personally, this is a card of foundation. 4 wands have begun the foundation of something that needs to be celebrated. What sort of foundation are you looking to create? Especially a foundation around spiritual practices, personal development, self-improvement, celebrating yourself, but also look for other celebrations in your life. Maybe someone's getting married. Maybe someone is going to announce that they're having a baby. This is the card that I really want to talk about, the Ace of Pentacles. I'm so grateful that this card came out. Do you see that pentacle? Do you see the hand that's coming out of the cloud offering you that pentacle? You are being asked to take that pentacle, to walk that path through that archway to those mountains in the back. Those mountains represent accomplishment. What I get from this, and there's light coming out from, there's beams of light, if you can see it, coming out from the hand, is to pick up something that I shared with you today, to take it, to create a practice around it, and to walk forward on your journey, knowing that you're going in the right direction, knowing that at the end of this journey, well, let me put it this way, the journey is the accomplishment to me personally, but you're being given something, but it's up to you to take it and to move forward in a positive way. The gray of the card, to me, represents potential. There's lots of potential in the Ace of Pentacles. The question is, what are you going to do with that potential? What are you going to do with your practice of creating more light and illumination in your life? Your willingness to look honestly and deeply within yourself. Beautiful cards. I'm glad I drew them. Okay. I love to end by saying this. Well, before I say that, let me say this. If you liked this video, please hit the subscribe button below. Click on that bell for notifications, and feel free to share this with anyone in your circle that you feel this message would resonate with. I would greatly appreciate it. Now I will end by saying, be in harmony and relationship with yourself first. Know yourself more truly and more deeply.